Wagwan, my reggae family. Big up on yourself because today we turn up the vibes and celebrate the heartbeat of Jamaica. You don't know what time it is? It's Reggae Month, the time when we honor the sound that changed the world, the rhythm that speaks of freedom, the culture that unites people from all walks of life. And who better to reason about than the Gong himself, the legend, the revolutionary, the King of Reggae, Robert Nesta Marley. Every February, the whole of Jamaica turns into a musical paradise. From Kingston to Montego Bay, from the hills of St. Anne to the shores of Negril, reggae is everywhere, playing in the streets, booming from sound systems, and filling up the air with positive vibrations. It's a time to remember the greats, to educate the youth, and to celebrate the power of reggae music. This is not just about entertainment. This is a movement, a legacy, a way of life. Reggae is resistance, reggae is unity, reggae is the voice of the people. Before we go deep into the life and legacy of Bob Marley, let me drop a quick disclaimer. This vlog is all about spreading knowledge, sharing the vibes, and giving respect to the man who made reggae a global force. Everything shared here is based on historical facts, cultural influences, and documented records. No infringement intended, no false information, just love, history, and the real story of Bob Marley. Now, let's get into it. Before the world knew him as Bob Marley, he was born Robert Nesta Marley on February 6, 1945, in a small village called 9 Mile in St. Anne Parish, Jamaica. His name was originally Nesta Robert Marley, but due to a clerical mix-up, the names were switched. His father, Norval Marley, was a white Jamaican of British descent, and his mother, Cedella Booker, was a young black Jamaican woman. But Norval wasn't really present in Bob's life. It was his mother who raised him, who gave him strength, and who supported his journey from the beginning. When Bob was a young boy, he moved to Kingston, settling in Trenchtown, a tough ghetto community where life was hard but music was everywhere. Trenchtown was full of struggle, but it was also full of talent. The sound of ska and rocksteady filled the air. People made music with whatever they had. And it was in that place of hardship where Bob found his purpose. He wasn't born into privilege, but he was born with a gift, the ability to speak to the people through music. As a youth, Bob listened to American R&B artists like Ray Charles, Curtis Mayfield, and the Drifters. But he was also influenced by the early pioneers of Jamaican music, people like Joe Higgs, Prince Buster, and Coxsone Dodd. It was Higgs who mentored Bob and his childhood friends Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh, teaching them harmonies and guiding them in the music business. Bob didn't have any formal training. Everything he knew, he learned by ear, by experience, by feeling the rhythm deep in his soul. Bob's journey into music started in the early 1960s, when he and his friends formed the Wailers. At first, the music industry was rough, and they had to hustle to get their songs recorded. But in 1963, they released Simmer Down, a song that quickly became a hit in Jamaica. It was the first time people really started to take notice of Bob Marley and the Wailers. They were young, hungry, and full of energy, but the road to success was not easy. In the late 1960s, the sound of reggae was evolving, and so was Bob. He embraced Rastafari, and it changed everything for him. Rastafari was not just a religion, it was a way of life, a movement of empowerment, a call for unity among African descendants worldwide. Bob started growing his dreadlocks, started writing deeper, more conscious lyrics, and started using his music as a tool for revolution. By the early 1970s, the world was beginning to pay attention. In 1972, the Wailers signed with Island Records, a move that would change reggae music forever. Their first international album, Catch a Fire, introduced reggae to a global audience. Their next album, Burnin', featured Get Up, Stand Up, and I Shot the Sheriff, a song that later became a massive hit when covered by Eric Clapton. This was the moment when reggae music stepped onto the world stage. But not everything was smooth sailing. In 1974, Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer left the group, wanting to follow their own paths. Bob, now the face of the movement, continued as Bob Marley the Wailers, bringing in new members, including the legendary I-Threes, Rita Marley, Marcia Griffiths, and Judy Mowat. And from that point on, the world would never be the same. Bob Marley went on to release some of the greatest reggae albums of all time. Natty Dread in 1974 gave us No Woman, No Cry, a song that became an anthem of resilience. Rastaman Vibration in 1976 was his first album to break into the US charts. But it was Exodus in 1977 that solidified his place as a global icon, with hits like One Love, Three Little Birds, and Jamming. Time magazine even named it Album of the Century. But Bob was more than just a musician. He was a revolutionary. He used his voice to speak against oppression, injustice, and division. In 1976, right before Jamaica's national elections, Bob was shot in an assassination attempt. Even though he was wounded, 2 days later, he still performed at the One Love Peace concert, bringing rival politicians on stage to shake hands in front of thousands. His message was bigger than himself. He believed in unity, in peace, in standing up for the people. Throughout the late 1970s, Bob's influence grew stronger. He toured the world, selling out concerts from Europe to Africa. He sang about freedom, about love, about the struggles of Black people worldwide. Survival, released in 1979, was a militant call for African unity, while Uprising in 1980 gave us Redemption Song, one of the most powerful songs ever written. But then tragedy struck. In 1981, at the young age of 36, Bob Marley passed away from cancer. His final words to his son Ziggy were, "Money can't buy life." And just like that, the world lost one of its greatest voices. But even though he was gone physically, his spirit never died. His music, his message, his energy, it all lives on. Today, Bob's children continue his legacy, with artists like Ziggy, Damien, and Stephen Marley keeping the fire burning. His impact on reggae, on culture, on humanity is unmatched. And every February, Reggae Month reminds us of why his music still matters. It's not just about dancing to the rhythm, it's about understanding the message. It's about fighting for justice. It's about spreading love. So, if you love Bob Marley and reggae music, let me know your favorite Bob song in the comments. Let's keep the reasoning going. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because more reggae vibes are coming soon. One love, blessings, and much respect to each and every one of you. Let's keep the fire burning.